Hello. Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Ashleyandra. I'm the multicultural and LGBTQ intern for the center. And just a couple announcements before we begin. So, when we go around and we pass up the microphones, please speak up. It doesn't help if you don't project. Also, there is an open house for WMST today at 4:15. Come learn more about concentrating in WMST, what courses are being offered next semester, study abroad options, and more. And there'll be cider and donuts. So, also, LGBTQ initiatives and WMST are hiring for the spring. You can apply by going to the Colgate portal. So also, like, around 12:10, some of you will have to leave for class, and that's completely understandable. Please try to be quiet, though, when you're leaving, so you can respect everyone in the space. Also, clean up after yourself. There's compost at the back. There's a green hands bag. Yeah. And you can put your food there. Thank you for being in the space. The speakers today will be Salome, Pomaa, and Chinwendu. The brown bag is called Feminism and the African Women. It is going to be an informal discussion where the panelists will speak on what feminism means to them, how they encounter feminism throughout their life, and also to clear up misconceptions that may be occurring due to different cultural practices and everyday realities. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it on to them. Be supportive.
My name is Pomaa. I'm a sophomore. Biochem major. I'm from Ghana.
I am Chinwendu Obi. I'm sophomore as well. I'm a bio major. I'm a bio major and a writing and rhetoric minor. I'm from Nigeria, but I moved to the United States about 6 years ago.
Hi, I'm Salome. I'm a senior, biology major and African Studies minor. I'm from Tanzania. So basically, we have a few questions which Chinwendu is going to be asking, and we'll be answering depending on our life experiences. Though we're from different parts of Africa, we do not represent the views of the African continent. And this is mostly about our own life experiences, so this is a bit personal, and we welcome any type of ideas or anything that you think different from us. It's nice if we challenge each other in a friendly way.
Alright, so the first question we asked them is, what does feminism mean to you? It doesn't necessarily have to be a definition, just give an example or situation. Okay, so I guess I'll answer the question first. Feminism to me, I guess, is I just like the idea of, or I accept nothing but the utmost respect from people, and I guess feminism to me is like being given respect, and despite my gender or my sex, and not like having people not have this preconceived notion that because I am a woman that I can't do certain tasks or like I'm not able-bodied enough to like perform as well as a man can. So I guess that's what feminism means to me.
Okay, so feminism means a lot of things to me, and so I'm going to say a few of them. Whenever I hear feminism, for me, I just see my mother, who is not like a super educated woman, being respected in the community for what she does and what she thinks, and her values or her thoughts being respected by everyone and anyone. It also reminds me of my brother making breakfast for us every Sunday morning, and me and my dad reading newspapers every Saturday morning?
For me, feminism means not being treated differently for the simple reason that I'm a woman. And one person who like really embodied this feminism for me is my mom, just like Salome. She'll be very strict. She'll be like, so for example, I remember like this one time my grandma came to our house and I think my brother was sweeping or something, and then my grandma was like, why is my brother the one sweeping, and like it's a girl's job? And then my mom was like, no, in our house there's like no girl, no boy, we all do the same thing. So for me, that's what feminism means.
We're gonna move on. Was there a point in your life when you decided that you'll be a feminist, or did it just naturally occur?
Okay, I think for me, feminism just naturally occurred, though there was a point that I realized that it just doesn't naturally occur. Like in my family, I have a brother and 2 sisters, and never, like once in my family did I ever think that I was different from my brother. Like I said, he used to make like the best breakfast for us, and nobody would like tell you, oh, go to the kitchen because you're a girl, or do this because you're a girl, clean the house, do that. Like if we had to do chores, it was divided equally among us. I went to a girls' school for high school, for my, for the first 2 years of high school. I went to a girls' school, and our manager was really strict, and he used to call us like one-on-one, sometimes just meet you on the way, and he talks to you, and it's just like he wants you to be this fierce woman, and he tells you there are people out there, there are men out there who think they're everything, but they're not, because you're the person, you're the one, and all that. And like all my life just thought that, you know, I'm this purple woman, I can do anything I want, my thoughts are valid, and all that. But then my 11th grade and 12th grade, I went to this other co-educational school, and that's where I met someone who told me, you ain't nothing because you're a woman. That was when I found out that it just can't happen just naturally. You have to decide that I am something, and I mean something, and my thoughts mean something. Okay, I'll make it short. It was kind of a long story. I'm kind of emotional. So it was my 12th grade, and we were having graduation. So I went to an international school, but 50% of the students were Tanzanian, and like the rest were international students. So for the graduation, we had to make a speech in English and a speech in Swahili. And so, well, this British kid made the English speech, and like we had to do an election, who's going to do the Swahili speech and all that, and I was like, yay, opportunity for me to do something. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So I won. That's because most of, like, I was a big joker, and most of my friends used to like me because I joke around and all that. I was like, okay, if Salome does this speech, it's going to be so much fun, it's going to be funny, and all that. So they chose me because I was funny. So yeah. So after that, like after 2 weeks later, it was like a week to graduation. I was like, I don't know what to do exactly. I don't know what I'll say. And this is actually a serious thing. It's not a joke. So I was scared. And I asked this guy, he's super smart. And I was like, can you help me do the speech? And I was like, okay. But I think he didn't understand what kind of speech. Because 3 days later, I went to him and I was like, okay, so do you want to do the speech? I was like, which speech? I was like, the graduation speech in Swahili. And I was like, why are you doing this speech? Isn't this supposed to be done by Joseph? I was like, we had an election, you were not there, and they won. And he was like, I don't think you can do this. I was like, why? You're a woman. He actually said that, you're a woman. And I was just like, this is not right. And for me, the first reaction was like, I was sad, I cried, and then I went to tell his sister that, you know, your brother is and his sister came to me and was like, oh, you have to apologize to Salome. And I was like, I can't apologize. Because what I think is true. She can do this speech. And I was like, oh, maybe she can, the sister was like, oh, maybe she cannot do this speech, but it's not because she's a woman. I was just like, you people are weak. You can't do anything serious. Can you please stop disturbing me? Because I'm not going to apologize for such thing. I was like, I actually couldn't believe that this was happening. And then, okay, I was sad for like 2 days, and then I met this man, he was like, okay, so maybe you're sad because someone told you can do something because you're a woman, but if you cry, it won't help. It's just going to prove to him that you are weak and you can't do this. So the only thing to show him that you can do this is to make the speech and to do it. And so, yeah, I did the speech on my own, and he apologized to me after I presented the speech at the graduation. And I don't know, that was the point that showed me that at some point, even if everything is going right and you think everything about you is valid, at some point you just have to decide that my thoughts are valid, my actions are valid, and I am similar to anyone despite of their gender or how they identify who they are.
But was there a point in your life when you decided that you would be a feminist, or did it naturally happen?
I don't know if there was like an exact point in my life where I decided to be a feminist. I mean, growing up, I think like I saw women who were doing things, for example, in primary, at least for the first 10 positions, maybe only 3 of them would be like guys, most of them would be like girls, you know. So, and I also went to like an all girls school, and we had like, most of our leaders were like women, and so like, yeah. I have like seen women like in positions of power and things, but that doesn't mean that like it's all like good and all smooth. Like, for example, in our parliament there isn't like too many women representatives, and like we're fighting for that. Like in music and things like that, it's quite difficult for women to like go into such like things. But then I don't know if there's like an exact point that I have decided to be a feminist, but I think like I'm still learning, and yeah.
I guess for me it was when I came here. I'm the 5th child, but when I moved here I became the first one. And so everything that my older siblings have been doing, their responsibilities fell on me, so I had to, I guess, assume the role because I had no choice. And so I actually am the only person that does everything for my parents, and so I just coming from the 5th child to like the firstborn, and the firstborn, I know in Nigeria, like they always do everything. And as a 5th child back in Nigeria, like I barely saw my parents, and I really had that much contact with them. And but here, I'm always with them, talking with them. They call me every day. You know, how do you turn on the computer? Yeah. How do you type this? My mom's going to nursing school, so she'd actually, answer these questions like, how do I research this on the computer? And so I just took on that role, even though back home I didn't used to do like that much. So I guess I just had to assume the role here when I came to the United States. So moving on, do you think the Western idea of feminism is different from that in Africa? Why? If yes, yeah, yes. I guess the way how I've seen it so far here, or just the Western idea, is that women, we all stand for like equality. We want the same pay, we want the same wages, and we want to be treated equally as, our counterparts are. But I know for Nigeria, like women usually fight for, not being validated domestically, and usually, I don't think a lot of women have taken the action to like, tell their husband no, because like most of the, I guess the system of power, they're all in support of like the male partners. So I don't think women back home really take an active role, like saying, oh no, you know, I'm not supposed to do this because I'm a woman. Because a woman, how we see it is like the man is the head of the family, and I still think that. But I also think that just because I think or I believe, you know, the Bible says the man is the head of the family, just because I'm not, my life should not be defined by that. I will not become a sub under someone just because, you know, they're supposed to be the head. And so as an African, I guess taking the next part in, you know, standing for myself is that even though I'm supposed to be second, or even though people will consider me second in Nigeria, I'm still gonna do what I'm gonna do. And so no one has the power or authority over me. I'm independent. Even though I get married, I'm an independent person. And so I won't be subject to anyone. And I think if I get married, I won't change my last name because it means so much to me. And so my husband might have a problem with it, but I won't change my last name. Okay.
I think, yeah, feminism is different like here in Ghana. I feel like here it's more pronounced, like people say it, you know, but at least back home you don't really hear much about feminism and things like that. Even like the word feminism has some sort of a negative connotation, so it like you don't want to get married, you don't like men. But then I also like see women who are like taking care of their kids, pushing them, you know, encouraging them. So I think there are some sort of similarities, but it's just like not. Maybe it's there, but it just doesn't have a name, if I should say it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think similar to Pomaa. I feel like the whole idea, the basic idea in feminism is similar, but the different realities here and wherever I come from in Africa. I just feel like back home, you're not about like saying, oh, we're bringing down the patriarchy, oh, we want this, we want that. It's more of we are empowering ourselves to do this. We're a group of women who are making, let's say, batik, and we're selling it to empower ourselves, to improve our families, to do that, to do this. And yeah, I've seen more of that. Like, I've grown up seeing more of that. Like, I'll take another example from my mom. She's like in 5 women groups doing different things, and that has it has defined feminism for me. It's like taking action to actually make yourself relevant in the community and not necessarily just trying to fight the patriarchy, if that makes sense.
What aspect of your culture or everyday life at home supports feminism?
Like I said, moving here, I have become more independent, and so I have learned to live alone, make decisions, and somewhat independent of other people's influence on me. And even though whatever decision I make, I take into account my family, and, you know, how it might affect them or like my friends. I think I'm more of a feminist with actions and decisions I've taken so far. Culturally wise, it's really hard because there's certain like norms you have to abide by culturally. And so, like, let's say I was back in New Jersey where I normally attend the Evil Anglican Church, and if I were to, let's say, come in there with my boyfriend, you know, I have a boyfriend, and so we hold hands and we're walking, I can't do that, so, but, and I guess a lot of things have to change. So,
okay. For me, it has the aspect of my everyday life that supports feminism is how we as children in my family are treated, and how what we like or what we're passionate about is supported despite of our gender. For example, this example, I'll take it from me and my young sister. Since my older siblings left home like a while ago, and so it has only been me for some years. It has only been me and my young sister for some years, and we're two very different people. And from like since we were young, our parents found out that we're very different. I like knowing things. I like knowing what's going on. So I was just like asking my parents, so what is happening here? What is happening here? And my father was just like, oh, this one likes reading newspapers. So he'd come home and be like, hey, I have some newspapers. Salome, do you want to read? So like it used to be our thing every Saturday. We'd sit together in the morning and read. We'd go through everything we didn't go through during the week. But my little sister, she just likes the kitchen. She likes cooking a lot and she enjoys it. So my mom wouldn't bother like calling me, oh, Salome, come to the kitchen. I don't want to come. Oh, you should come because you're a girl, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, she just called the her girl who likes staying in the kitchen, come to the kitchen with me. And my dad would just call his girl who likes reading newspapers, come read newspapers with me. I just feel like that part of my everyday life supported equality and just supported what a child is passionate about and likes to do despite the gender roles that are assigned by other people.
I just wanted to also add that because you hear us talking about feminism inside the house, because that's what we're mostly confined by. We don't have that much say inside, and so outside you might see us, take on these active roles. But we're talking about our domestic lives because that's where we're constrained, and so just to point that out.
I will talk about like my family. So when we were young, my dad was the one who probably do like most of the cooking, like washing, and my mom usually wasn't around that much. So for me, it wasn't. I mean, I didn't see like other fathers doing that for their kids, like cooking and stuff like that. It wasn't weird. It wasn't strange for me. It was just like normal. It didn't mean that like a man had to do this or a woman had to do this. But then as I like grew up, I realized that that probably wasn't like the norm. So yeah. Yeah. So actually, they say like that kind of supports it because it didn't really define like roles based simply on gender, and it was like more like who is available and what they can do like at that point in time.
There has been a tendency for people, especially in the West, to think that African culture disregards feminism. Can you tell a short story of when you felt that it was not true and that feminism is present in Africa and not necessarily labeled elsewhere?
How it's sin back in Nigeria, like, to become or to take an active role as a feminist is to be seen as
define norms. And so women do define norms. They do say no to their husbands. They do say no to their culture. You know, I won't give up my twins because they're twins. And so usually there's some cultures back in Nigeria, from the Yoruba culture, where if you give birth to a twin, you have to, you throw them away. Basically, you can't have twins; they're abominations. And so, being a feminist would be saying no, a woman saying no, and going back to live with her parents and raising the twins, or let's say, women being able, not just women, anyone being able to practice whichever religion you see fit, because we're mostly confined by Christianity, Islam, and being able to go outside your religion and say, I'm interested in this other religion, and so I want to involve myself and take part in it. It's really hard. It's really hard because you will be shunned and outcast by literally everyone you know. But taking the first step and talking to someone who feels the same way as you do, or who can support you, is gonna be really helpful. And in Nigeria, most women are feminists, in that they have to go above and beyond, be smarter than the guys before anyone who pays any attention to you. In fact, they mostly base everything, I think, on your intelligence. So you have to be smarter, proactive than the next person right next to you. If not, then whatever you're fighting for won't be taken seriously at all. Yeah.
Okay. Here.
Okay. There has been a tendency for people, especially in the West, to think that African culture disregards feminism. Can you tell a short story of when you felt that it was not true and that feminism is present?
Okay, so this makes me think about the topic of right price and how people have been interpreting that as a way that as if women are being bought or something like that. And I've had debates with fellow Tanzanians about this and what they think, and I've had debates with people who are not Tanzanians about this and what they think, and the implications of right price to the woman in her marriage, and how it might cost her in the future. And I think we are probably not getting this right because it's a tradition. It's been there for years, and maybe most of us have forgotten how it started and what it was originally intended for. And from just talking to elders, talking to my parents, and talking to older people, I've realized that most of them think of it as a way of thanksgiving, giving thanks to a woman's parents, that thank you, you have raised a daughter that I love, and I'm about to be married to her. So this is me thanking you for raising her up, and not necessarily, oh, I'm taking this woman from you, I can do anything I want to her because I paid for her. And some people have used, I'm not saying that people haven't used such thinking, they have, but that's not what it was intended for. And I think there's nothing wrong with bride price if it reflects the reasons it was intended for. Why it is paid to the woman's parents, it was just a decision. There are other places where it is paid to the man's parents, and I don't think that it is a problem to me if it is practiced with the intended reasons.
I remember like my headmistress in high school, she was like very outspoken. She wouldn't keep quiet like simply because she was a woman. She wouldn't like accept your decision because she was a man, and we really liked her. She was like a great woman, and I know most of the male teachers did not like her because she didn't just listen to them for the fact that they were men, and they felt like they had that right because they were men. But then, yeah, we the students liked her, and I think that was what was important.
That's the end of the questions. But if you have any questions, you can ask us.
Okay. So y'all were talking about some cool stuff about like schools and like strong, powerful female influences outside of the home, but like that were in school. And you talked about single-sex education and then like moving into like a co-ed setting. And so like coming from Trinidad, I know a lot of like our best high schools, our best secondary schools are, you know, single-gendered schools. And I was just wondering what you think that space allowed you to grow, maybe more specifically, and like, what is it like after having left that space? Is it, you know, like, because I've had friends who were girls in schools and they were like, oh, it was like the best time ever, we like had all this support, and then they were like, oh my god, can I please go back to like convent school days? And so I was just wondering if you like had comments to that end.
Okay. So, I feel like for me, I would rather have both experiences. Well, when I was in the girls' school, for me, it taught me to be like a strong woman, like I can do anything, and of course, like our school is one among the best schools in the country. So, for me, it kind of built my background and my foundation as a feminist, and gave me the kind of thinking that is needed to like encounter any type of challenge. But then I feel like when I went to the co-educational school, that's when I was like exposed to what it feels like to be with someone who doesn't think that you can do anything, who thinks that you can't do things because you're a woman. And I feel like that's important to set your ground as a woman.
For me, I really like the girls' school that I went to, because why I decided to go to like a single gender school was because that was probably the only opportunity I would ever have to go to a single gender school, and it was nice, you know, see like just girls being girls, you know, like no external, like not too much of like an external influence on like how you should behave. I mean, there were rules and stuff like that, but it wasn't for the simple reason that you were a girl, you know. So I feel like that kind of gave me a good and solid foundation for when I went into a co-ed school.
And I never went to a single gender school. So I had the exposure from kindergarten. Yeah.
Any other questions?
So you talked a lot about how in your families you were very much equal being a woman. What about your friends? what kind of, did you go into their homes and see how things worked in their homes and how was it there? Was your family something different and unique? Or do you think many of your friends had the same kind of culture in their family where the boys and the girls were equal and could do all jobs?
I think it was different, and based solely on the amount of education level my friends' families have had, because I've realized or I've come to learn that if they're still if like let's say my friends' families, like their parents are illiterate, and so it's a lot harder for them to like just start establishing rules that we have, Western ideas or Western ways of doing things, and women taking, the first step into like doing things for yourself. And so if my friends' families, they're still used to following traditions that my family aren't, then it's easier to see where the line is. Yeah, so mostly my family, we can have like feminists, but in their family they can't because they have no choice, and they're constrained by the fact that they don't have the exposure to like, consider Western ways of doing things, because, but yeah, it's just, we see it as a Western way of doing things and attaining civilization, and so if they're still constrained by that illiteracy and ignorance, then they will remain at that level.
I think for me, most of my friends' family was similar to me and to mine, and probably because most of my really close friends were my friends from my girls' school, and I feel like in most of those families they really valued the education of their girls, and they really valued what their girls thought, and they thought like the children are super smart and they can do anything, and I felt like in most of those families I felt like I was equally valued to any other child. I just feel like maybe among some of my friends, they themselves thought that maybe I can do this or I can do that, but I didn't feel like that came all the way from how they're brought up as their family. I just feel like most of what they thought sometimes was just constructed by the society itself and what people generally thought about women.
I don't think my family was that much unique either. I just think like varying experiences for like every family. So like I know of like a family where the father like does absolutely nothing in the house. He just like comes back, opens the newspaper, watches sports, and the mother in the family tries hard to get like they are just two boys to like do things around the house, but they don't, because they don't see their father doing it, so why should they? And there's like also other families where like the father helps with everything in the house, and like the children also help, and like some like single mothers, they will make sure that like both of their kids, like it doesn't matter, the boys, the girls, you cook, you sweep, you go get water and stuff like that. So I think it's not that much unique.
Okay, so Salome talked a little bit about the bride price and her relation to like that in feminism. So I want to know what you all thought about that, the bride price as well.
Okay, I guess being a feminist, I would have to say, like, if I were to consider bride price its production, and that's something I see as bad. So I will have a say in, who I want to marry. Like, do I base it on love or economic status? So as a feminist, if I did have a say, and if I do have a say, I will have a say to like, I will have to choose the guy I want to marry. Have him come see my parents, pay the bride price, and we go to his parents' house with my family, and we pay the groom price. But I Actually, I was supposed to get married back in Nigeria. I was born into a royal family, and so I would have been married if I hadn't moved here. But I escaped. Coming here, and then that's what gave me the pleasure of having choice. I guess if I am a feminist, and so I can choose. I guess having the choice is what rules it out.
Bride price, I think it's okay. So what I know is that like for a bride price, if let's say there's like a divorce, then if it was the woman's fault, I think the man gets the bride price back. But if let's say the man mistreated the woman and then the woman left, he doesn't get anything. So it's kind of like a way of protecting the woman in some way. So yeah, I mean it could go both ways.
Any other questions?
So I've done some like research for different projects in classes, and you at one point someone talked about like political representation, like in the government, women in government, and we actually had a brown bag here earlier this semester, which was looking at like involvement of women in politics in different countries, and I don't know like specifically any countries, I can't name off the top of my head, but like, do you know if there are quotas for like women in government in your country, and like how effective do you think those are in like women being politically active?
Well, in my country, we have in the parliament we have special seats for women, and I think that's a really good idea because it brings up the number of women in the parliament. But I think better idea would be actually having women to compete with men instead of just having women like have special chairs to be there. I feel like yes, it's helpful as in it helps in empowering more women and having more women involvement in the parliament. But I feel like to tell ourselves that we have reached this goal, this equality goal, we'll have to have enough women that can equally compete with men to get in the parliament. And this special, they call it special chair. I don't know. That's direct translation. I don't know how they would call it in English. I feel like it's effective so far because there have been some cases whereby I know these were like personal, but there have been some members of parliament who have had not very good relationship in their families, who have not treated their partners well, and most of these people were called out by women in the parliament, and they were met to take responsibility for whatever they did and whatever was going on in their family. So I think it's very effective to call on people who are leaders to actually act on things that they say.
In Ghana, I don't know if we have special. I'm not too sure, but I think we do. But then what I realized is that like over the past few years, there have been like increasing number of women in parliament and in government and in positions of power. So I think we're getting there.
Oh, fun fact, our new vice president is a woman.
Well, in Nigeria, there's a lot of corruption. A lot of corruption. The government, I know for women, I think we have special spots for women in government. It's just that the process it takes for a woman to get there is very iffy. It's tough. I know some women have actually resulted to they do favors for the men up there before they actually get to sit in that spot. And favors, I mean like, yeah. Sexual favors. Yeah, we're still in. There's just too much corruption there. There's a lot to be changed.
So my question's about, this is so loud. Gender roles, similarities and differences between places.
Sorry, can you?
Gender roles. So, did you notice any similarities or differences between where you're from and being here?
Well, religion also kind of defined most of the rules in Nigeria. I wasn't allowed to wear trousers or pants. It was when I came here that I started wearing pants. The weather is cold back home. But yeah, girls wear skirts. You can't act you can't act aggressive or manly. You can be handy. Yeah, it's more feminine and more girly. Yeah. Most of it is also done to I know most parents say, oh, you're supposed to act feminine so that the males can see you a certain type of way. So you'll be like, I know for me, I had to walk a certain way, talk a certain way, because people were always watching me, and it was good for whoever my suitor was supposed to be. And so I had to act a certain way, dress a certain way. But here, I just do my own thing. No one's what. People are still watching. Not as much. Yeah, not as much.
I feel like for me, I have observed like very many similarities. It's just because people don't necessarily talk about them back home, like what feminists are fighting for, the kind of equality they're fighting for here is similar to what women would be fighting for. I'm just looking at the basic needs of women in equality. I've mostly seen them to be similar.
Any more questions?